Moral of the story is that there's always going to be someone that will tell you what you want to hear, especially in real estate. But let me back up just a little bit. I did get fired recently. Things happen, not a good fit for everyone, but here's the real quick story of this. I was with a couple looking at houses. They really wanted to see something that had some fix-up potential, something that was in rough shape that they could fix up, add some value to. They weren't using it as an investment, but they just wanted to get a good value for a house, put some money into it, and have it be worth a little bit more. Well, we found this house, and they're looking at a pretty high price point. I mean, this was over $600,000 in its current condition. So it was going to be an expensive house to buy and fix, and it'll be worth a lot more, hopefully, when they got done. Well, we're walking through, and I haven't done a lot of investing, but it is how I started my real estate career. I used to do about 2 to 3 deals a month when I lived in Chicago, less since I've moved to North Carolina, but I still have kind of a good eye and a decent understanding of what things cost and what to look out for and things like that, just because I did do it for a few years before I moved here. It was obvious looking at this house that I was going to need quite a bit of expensive repairs, at least $100,000 to $150,000 to kind of get it to where they wanted to. Long story short, they called me and let me know, hey, we're going with an agent that specializes in working with investors, and we're going to keep looking with them. That house went under contract with this agent. Is what it is, but it sat on the market, under contract, never closed, came back on the market. I'm sure what happened is after they started getting some of these quotes from some of these contractors, they realized it is not quite as easy or simple as this other agent was telling them. It was going to cost them a lot more. The moral of the story, again, there's always going to be someone, especially in real estate, that will tell you what you want to hear. You have to look at someone's track record, their success, not just the reviews, but how much business they do and the reason why they're saying what they're saying. That's part of the reason why I've been making these videos for years. I'll never just tell you what you want to hear. I'll always give you the truth, good, bad, or indifferent. I'll always be honest and upfront with you. I'm Jeff Valentino. I love helping people buy and sell houses. If that's you, my contact information is below, but let's get right into kind of the first market update for spring of 2023. The national news, and it's going to be similar here to Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point, the Triad area, but national news is the real estate market is moving quickly. So again, if you're a buyer, you're thinking about buying this spring, you got to be prepared to act fast. We're going to zoom in on Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point numbers, but just kind of that's the overall national news of the real estate market at the moment, and it is especially that here in the Triad so far this spring. If you're a buyer, I know it's frustrating, and I know it's been a long couple of years, but you have to be ready to act quick. You have to be ready to put your best foot forward in most cases. Not quite like it was a couple years ago, but we're seeing some things that I haven't seen in a long time. We've seen houses getting bought in coming soon before any showings were. We're seeing multiple offers. We're having to go a decent amount above asking price again. We're starting to see those things already in this early part of the spring, so it's just something to kind of be aware of. But again, many buyers are out of the market. Rates did knock out a lot of people, but remember, instead of there being 10 or 12 buyers for every house, there might still be 3, 4, or 5. So just keep that in mind as we move forward, but let's take a look at the overall numbers. After we do the overall numbers, we're going to kind of go through the supply and demand numbers, and then I'll just give you my overall take on the market as a whole. All right, total sales for the month. We did see a seasonal increase to 1,860 closed sales last month, and that's, like I said, typical what we see for seasonality as we head into spring. However, what I want you to know is this number, 1,860, is a little over 15% fewer sales than there was March of last year, and over 25% fewer sales than March of 2021. Again, so the market's moving quickly, but there are fewer sales. I'll show you why in just a minute. Again, going back to our average sales price, we did see that jump kind of back up. That is just over the $300,000 mark after it lingered in the high 280s, low 290s for a little while. It is back up over $300,000 right now, which is a good indication of demand, but it's also just kind of nice to know overall. All right, so first we're going to take a look at the supply numbers of the supply and demand piece. So the first one I want to look at is the total number of new listings. Remember last month when I said we should really see this number jump? If we don't see a big jump in this number, it's going to be kind of scary going forward in just total number of houses for sale through the rest of the spring and probably into summer. We did see that big jump in new listings month over month, which is good news. However, again, I need to let you know that this number of new listings is about 20% fewer than there were that same month last year. So if you're a buyer, you're looking at houses right now and you're just saying like, man, it doesn't seem like there are a lot of houses coming on the market. Aren't they supposed to come on in springtime? I've taken a ton of these phone calls. Guess what? You're right. There's just not as many houses coming on the market. As a matter of fact, over 20% fewer houses coming on the market now now than this same time last year. That's a huge number to understand what's going on right now in supply. And aside from new listings, we want to look at total homes for sale. And similar story here. We did see, that number is increasing, which inventory is building slightly, but I need to emphasize that it is slightly. Right now in total inventory, we're still at only about 1.6 months. I mean, that is a heavily favored seller's market. A balanced market, just to give you an idea, is about 6 months of inventory. We haven't seen that since 2017 or 2018, but just to get away from some of the insanity, we would love to see 2.5 or 3 months, worth of inventory. So when we're still at 1.6 months, you need to understand on the supply side, that just favors sellers because there just simply isn't a large supply of homes to choose from. Two things I want to go over as we look at the demand numbers, right? So that's the kind of the supply side of what's going on. Let's take a look at how the demand, right? Demand has come down, as we've said time and time again. Rates are much higher than they were this time a year ago. That took a lot of buyers out of the market, of course. But keep in mind, as you're sifting through some of these headlines, taking a lot of buyers out isn't all of them. It's probably not even half. Maybe it's about half. Just say that for an example, but just remember where we were when it was super crazy a year and 2 years ago. So if half those buyers still remain, if those people have to buy houses for their big life events, right? Job transfer, marriage, adding on to the family, kids leaving the house, empty nesters, all those different things like that make people really need to buy houses. There's still a chunk there that's always going to be in the market of people having to buy and sell homes. Just the number of buyers has shrunk, but demand is still high overall with low supply. Probably one of the biggest indicators for demand is our days on market. Remember, we stayed under 10 days for a really long time. We shot up kind of over the winter to a high of 18 days, and we've seen a 6-day drop in this since the last market update. So we went from 18 sharp decline all the way down to 12 days on market. That just really speaks to how much demand was out there when we said those early signs of that spring market were coming on the last market update that I did. It just kind of shows that demand came, it came quicker than normal, and those days on market dropped down significantly. An encouraging thing on the demand side for, especially if you're a buyer right now, when we saw those huge numbers of way over asking price, that's been a little bit more of the rarity. The percent of list price did jump up a little bit. We're back at 100% list to sales price ratio. So up about 0.5 point from where it was last time. We hung around that 100% timeline for a really long time, where we saw those humps last year in late spring and summer when the market was really bananas. Right now, we're not seeing that yet. I am starting to see early signs of that, and we did creep up to that 100%. This will be interesting to watch as we get through this spring and head towards the summer market. Will it go crazy like it did before, or will, the market kind of just restrain itself and just kind of stay around that 100% list to sales price ratio? The bottom line on the demand numbers is there's not a lot of deals out there, right? I was just speaking with a client about this yesterday. We're talking about what kind of offers are getting things done right now. If the house has been on the market for, probably under 10 days, sellers aren't really looking to take less than asking price. Of course, there are exceptions to all these. This is very area and house specific. As a general rule, sellers are thinking they can test the market for that first 7 or 10 days and really see what kind of offers they will get. If the house has been on the market a long time, if it's a little bit further outside of town, could be a totally different story. But every situation is unique. But just kind of a general thing as to what I'm seeing right now, it's kind of staying right around what those numbers bear out, that 100% list to sales price ratio. I was just in a negotiation last night. House was on the market for 4 days. All of a sudden, on the third day, there were 4 offers. We were in a multiple offer situation, was able to negotiate a good deal for my client where they got the house. But again, it was just something after a few days, and then all of a sudden there were 4 offers. It's just kind of how things have been going lately. So overall, if you're looking to buy right now, you need to be prepared to move fast. You have to talk with your agent. Hopefully it's me. When we're doing this, we have to have a plan. Here's our offer. Here's what our due diligence is going to be. Here's where we can push ourselves. Here's where we need to be more conservative. We have to have a game plan going into these situations, because as we get into the heart of the spring market here, going through these next month, it's going to move fast. Things are going to go quick. If you want a nice house in a good area with schools that's moving ready, a lot of people want that right now. Not as many as before, but a lot of people still do want that. So just remember, have a plan and be prepared to move quickly when you see the right house. If you're selling, yes, you have things in your favor, but you can't do, it's not like it was a year or two ago. You can't just do whatever you want. You have to have your home show ready. Buyers are a little bit more picky. Remember, the buyers that have made it through these giant rate increases and things like that are still looking in the, average and above average price points. They're choosy now. They understand it's just not, I have to take whatever I can get, and they're willing to be a little bit more patient. They've been conditioned for years now that they have to make strong offers, right? So what they're realizing now is, okay, we can't not just take whatever comes on the market. So if you're a seller, have your house show ready, be prepared to do some minor fix-ups, accommodate showings the best you can. Just do all the little things right, and if your home is marketed and priced correctly, you should do just fine. If you need help buying or selling real estate, I would love to be a resource for you. You can email me directly at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.